this is Qazi. So this is my first video. I have been struggling for a long time. I've been thinking about, okay, I gotta start a video. I've been wanting to start like a YouTube channel or just make some chess videos. And I've been kind of pondering and thinking about this for a very long time, but just never happened to convert it into reality. So, despite all the hardships that I faced even today, and kind of like every single day I was facing some sort of difficulty, and I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it tomorrow, I'll figure it out another day. I kind of had the same problem today. Some of my equipment that I set up to start making videos wasn't working effectively, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start a week from now once I kind of get everything in shape. But I'm like, forget about that, let's just start today. So this is the first time I'm doing this, and I'm hopefully gonna start this out and do this more often. But please, if you like it, like the video below or comment on it, and give me some feedback if you guys like the video, and so I can gauge whether you guys want to see something like this again. I was at Chicago Open Chess Tournament. I played in the four-day section. I hadn't played chess about a year before that. I only taught chess to kids, but never really competitively played it. Maybe just one or two tournaments here and there. So when I was going into this tournament, I was going in with the expectation of, okay, I'm just going to get slammed. I'm going to lose all 7 of my rounds, and but it'll be fun, you know. I'll just go to this tournament to basically figure out how bad am I at this point, because I hadn't played in a long time. So this tournament, you know, I was going to go and kind of get a reality check, and my rating usually had been fluctuating around 1900 for the last 4 years. So I went into this tournament with a rating of 1964. So I was like, you know, maybe after this tournament I might even fall below 1900s. I wasn't feeling very confident. I ended up going to this tournament, and I think I had the best result of my entire life. I gained about 100 points. I broke 2000 on 2035. I had a performance rating, and this is a little suspicious, but I had a performance rating of about 2307. Overall, it was just a great event, and I think I tied for some place. Got like 30 bucks. So yeah, you know, went in and got out with some money. I want to share one of the rounds from the tournament. I played it against a fellow named Bill Turner. His rating is about 2016, and he's a pretty strong player. Game ended fairly quickly. I think it was an 18-move game. I had actually lost before this round, so this was a very important game to kind of put me back in the swing of things, and it was a great confidence booster. So let's see what happened in this game. I was white, and I start off with the move that I have always played and never changed it. I started off with e4. I used to play it as a beginner, and I kind of still stuck with it even at this point. So it's just a move I like to play. Played e4, and my opponent played d5. It was the Scandinavian defense. I used to play some weird lines against this, like Blackmar, Dmar gambit with d4, and then they would take, and then I'd play f3. But those were usually good when I was a lower rated player. Those helped me kind of get to a higher rating because they gave me sharp gambits, gave me sharp positions or lots of tactical opportunities, or because sometimes my opponents just messed up. But at a little bit of a higher level, around 2000, it's a little tough to get away with that kind of stuff. You know, sometimes people can take your material and give it back to gain an advantage themselves. So, you know, for example, after d4 takes and f3, they can play e3, and then it's kind of awkward because my knight can't go to f3, and it's a little messy, and I don't really like those things. So I stopped playing gambits now. So I just played a solid move. E takes d5, very principled, just take in the center. If the queen has to take, I gain a tempo, so why not? My opponent took back, and here I played the move d4. And I'm just ready to play knight c3, knight f3, bring my pieces out. And my opponent here played e5. Now this is actually, I think, a bad move in this position because, and I was looking at it within Chess Engine a few, I guess, months or whatever before the tournament. I remember seeing this, and I can just take here. And okay, if he trades queens, yeah, he takes away my castling rights, but this pawn isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And since we have a game without the queens and he doesn't really have a lead in development, my king should be just fine on d2. You know, maybe I can play c3, king c2, hide my king away. But my king is not going to be in any trouble in a queenless middle game. So he tried queen takes e5 check. And now this move doesn't really make much sense to me. I mean, he's already played 2 queen moves, and I get to develop, the files are open, and his queen's in the middle of the board. So I just feel like I might be getting some free tempos. So I played bishop e2. He tried bishop g4. I played bishop e3 here. Now, he can take on b2, but bishop d4 looks pretty strong. And if nothing, you know, I'm actually threatening to take g4, so he has to do something about it. So he took my bishop, and I took back with the queen. I like my queen kind of having an extra vision on his king, and also my knight coming to f3. That's why I didn't take with the knight here. And if he goes like queen takes b2, then maybe I can play bishop c1 check. That would be a cool move. Or I can play bishop d4 check and win the queen. So he can't really go around taking free pawns here. He really needs to catch up in development. And that's what he does. He plays bishop e7. It's a little passive move. And I'm just bringing out my pieces. Knight f3. So I now have one more piece in development than he does. Or sorry, I didn't play this. Played knight c3. Because now he was threatening to take on b2. And I don't want to give him free pawns. He played knight c6 here. And I just simply went ahead and kicked his queen while developing a piece. He moved out of the way and pinned my knight. This is what he really should have played kind of in the start, instead of this e5 business. And here, I'll give you some time to find the move that I played in the game. I think it's a pretty good move that I found in the game. So why don't you go ahead and see what white should play here. White has a pretty good move that pressures black's position and kind of takes advantage of a bishop that's better developed and kind of pieces that are just overall better developed. So take a moment, pause the video, see if you can find the move. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, time's up. I was debating castling, queen side or castling king side, but I played this move first. Now this move actually has a threat of taking this knight and messing up his pawn structures. He would have double isolated pawns here and another isolated pawn here. So it has a positional threat of taking the knight. If he takes my knight, I take back, and I'm threatening g7 here, and let's say he plays knight f6. I just simply chop this knight, and once he takes back, not only does he have a messed up pawn structure, but I think that black is just lost after queenside castling, because first of all, black cannot castle in this position. If he castles, I chop off the bishop. And if he plays something like, let's say, queen c5, well, I just play rook he1, and I mean, he's not castling queenside, and he's not castling kingside. I mean, this guy is not castling anymore, because I have lots of pressure here. And then maybe knight d5 is coming into play. So I think that the game is pretty much resignable after this. So let's go back. So I do not think that he can just take my knight and hope for something good. So he has to be careful here. If he takes my knight to take here, I'm getting a tempo on g7. And if he doesn't, then he's in trouble because I might take here and play queen f3, and he's got lots of pressure to deal with. I castle queenside, and there's lots of pressure on his position. So he played knight d8. Now this is a move that I personally, I would never ever play this move. I mean, I believe in chess principles a lot, and you know, if you play a move like this, the chess justice gods will punish you. I don't think you can just get away with something like this. So, but I still have to prove how I can take advantage of it. So I was looking here, and I was looking for some kind of kill, but I couldn't really find it. I mean, the position is honestly so good here that queen b5 is also a good move. And after queen takes, this knight takes, and I'm double attacking this pawn here and this pawn here. And so I can even get an advantage right off the bat in this position, but I just castled queenside. And I kind of asked him, like, okay, what are you going to do now? You know? He once again has to be careful what he does. So in this position, I think he should maybe try knight f6, but yeah, I don't know, maybe I can try bishop d2 or something there. And look at the queen, maybe my knight wants to jump into these squares, and rook he1 is coming in, and then he won't be able to castle anytime soon. So he has lots of problems that he still has to deal with. So he tried move g6. Once again, this is a very, I mean, I just couldn't believe that my opponent was playing like this. He's not developed, and he's not bringing in any more pieces, and I think knight f6 might still be the best move. But, you know, he's just kind of going, he's just playing really weak moves, going backwards. I played rook he1, but to be fair, he's in a lot of, there's a lot of pressure on his position. I spent a lot of time on this move, but I think this is indeed the strongest move. It's really hard for him to play anything here. I don't know, knight e6, I just take the knight, and then he has a weakness on e6. If he doesn't do anything, like, I have threats, like moving this bishop somewhere, and I have pressure here. Like, I don't know, like bishop h6 is a threat right now. Bishop h6 threatening bishop g7. That's actually one of the threats in this position. Yeah, I don't really see what black can do here too much. He tried king f8. And okay, my move, rook he1, was actually directed against king f8. So why don't you take a second and think about what you would play here. So you can pause the video and think about what to play here for white. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time's up. Alright, so I played a tactical move here, bishop h6 check. And I mean, it's really a positional tactic because I don't actually win material right off the bat. Okay, if he goes king e8, then bishop g7, once again, I just trap, I get a full rook. There's no compensation for nothing, I just get a full rook. So that's not any good. So he has to take here. And once he took there, I thought I'd probably have a mate somewhere, but it was weird, I didn't. Took queen takes e7 check. King g7. Okay, and now I spent a long time. I mean, I went into a deep think here. I was trying to find all kinds of crazy stuff. So once again, this is one of those positions that you should probably pause the video and see how you would continue this attack. The move that I found was actually the best move in the position. It took me a long time to kind of come up with it, but you know, it's probably not that hard of a move for you to find. So take a second, find the move. Okay, so I'm going to assume you pause the videos. I'm going to continue. I thought about lots of things here, like knight e4, you know, knight d5, lots of stuff, and if he takes, maybe knight e6 check. But I wasn't really too satisfied with a lot of that stuff. So I played rook e5. And okay, this hits his queen, and he has to do something about the queen. And he played queen a6, because I think he wanted to keep an eye on my a2 pawn, and also maybe not run into rook b5 at some point. And I thought here for a long time, and one of the moves I was thinking of was knight d5, but the reason I did not play knight d5 was because after queen d6, I thought that, yeah, I can take on c7, but he gets to trade queens. I have a lot of pressure in the endgame, and it's probably winning anyways. But, you know, I felt like I could probably checkmate him or something worse, so I didn't want him to get that chance. There was something sharp, there was a tactic that I missed in my head with knight d5. After queen d6, you might want to pause your video, see if you can find this tactic. It's pretty ridiculous. The move that I missed here is actually knight e6 check. And the idea is that after knight e6 check, king goes to g8, knight f6, game over, right? So you can't really go there. And if queen takes, rook takes, you know, then that's that. But let's say, so knight takes, then the idea is queen f6 check, and here's the shot that I actually missed. I found all this. I missed knight e7 check. And now I get a free queen. So a free queen would be pretty nice in this position. But, well, if he goes king f8, then, you know, this is hanging, that's hanging. I mean, everything is just hanging. So that doesn't really work for him. So yeah, I missed this opportunity, but I still found something that was pretty strong. My chess engine got really mad at me. Engine started freaking out, you know. It's like, why didn't you find that move? And yeah, I can take pawns here and stuff like that. You know, it's really tempting to convert your advantage into a material advantage, because sometimes, you know, you feel like you're putting on a lot of pressure, and if you're not converting it into a material advantage, sometimes your opponent can just untangle out of it, and then you're left with nothing. So it's very tempting to just take some material while you can. But it's important to believe in your position and try to find moves that continuously pressure your opponent. And here I played the move knight e4. And this is a very interesting move, because the idea is that this queen can go nowhere to trade his queen for mine. So the idea is to stop queen trades. And another idea is that this knight covers very important squares, and black just doesn't have any good moves. Like, black almost has no moves in this position. So, for example, a few moves that black could try, let's say knight g4. Okay, knight g4 is met by rook g5, and with the deadly threat of knight f5 check, followed by queen e8 mate, and also threatening the knight. And h5 is met by knight f5 check, king goes to h7, rook takes g4, and the idea here is to knight f6, win the game. Or maybe even knight g5. Yeah, knight g5 is probably even stronger. So if you take my rook, knight g5 check, king g8, and then queen e8 is mate. And if you take my knight, like this, I have a strong move, not knight f6 because he can sack his queen, and why should we even let him sack his queen at this point? Knight g5 check, important move, and after whatever, let's say king h6, a very cool move, knight 2, you can pause your videos, or you can just watch along, very cool move, knight e6. And this move finishes the game. If queen takes, queen g5 check followed by queen g7 mate. If pawn takes, then queen g7 mate. If he doesn't do anything, then queen f6 is probably deadly. And if he does knight takes, then queen f6 check, king h7, queen takes f7 check. And it's over, because if knight blocks, I take it. If king h6, then queen g6 is checkmate. So it's funny because this rook is hanging by like 2 pawns, but he's untouchable. Okay, knight g4 cannot be played. And if knight f5, that's also bad, because knight takes f5, g takes f5, rook takes f5, and I have pressure on f7, my rook might want to come to g5, I mean, my knight might want to come to g5. That's over. That's pretty resignable. And I have a material advantage. I'm attacking the king. c7 is hanging. I mean, it's the end of the world for black. So he tried the move knight to g8. And once again, I mean, look at all his pieces, right? Like rook on h8, rook on a8, knight on d8, knight on g8. The only piece that he has in the game is his queen. It's almost like queen against 2 knights, rooks, and queen. So he's kind of outmatched here. Here spent a long time, and I came up with this move. Just a very simple move, queen takes e7, and just getting material advantage. But once again, kind of putting a question to black, like, okay, what's your move here? What are you going to play here? And this is a moment that my opponent cracked. He played the move queen takes a2. Once again, you get an opportunity to pause the video, see if you can find the move here. Assuming you pause your video and you have ample amount of time. This is an easy move to see if it's given to you as a tactic, or maybe I'm just blind, but I spent maybe 20 minutes here, and I was just finding like lots of ways to win, and then I found this and I'm like, duh, why didn't I see this? And the move is simply rook a5, and the problem is that this queen is out of squares. There are just no squares this queen can go to. It's trapped. I didn't see this move before. And he tried knight e6. And I thought he had to try probably rook c8 in that case. But he tried knight e6, and after queen e5 check, he resigned. There's nothing to do here. I mean, if he plays f6, I just chop here, check, and play some check with my queen, and then take his queen afterwards. So you got nothing there. That's it, folks. Yeah, that's the end of the game. So one thing to take away from this is when you put a lot of pressure on your opponent, like sometimes you don't even have to grab some material. Like, keep focusing on building up pressure and believe in your position. Like, if you have a lead in development and your opponent doesn't and he's behind in development, believe in your lead in development. Don't just be afraid and start getting some material and being like, okay, you know, I can't really find an attacking move and I can't find an exact win. I'm just going to go grab material. Sometimes you have to notice what your opponent can play. And he was almost in a zigzag in most of those positions. I mean, he just has nothing to play. So I just relaxed, took a deep breath, kind of looked at my position, and it was just overwhelming. So I'm like, I might as well just keep running him out of moves. And if I had gone after material, I mean, the game would have been like me up a pawn in an endgame and then play a long endgame and try to win that, versus just keep the pressure, Don't take any material, just keep increasing the pressure, keep increasing the lead in development. Eventually the threats are just so many that, you know, he just cracked all at once. You know, just queen is strapped, I'm out of here, the rook's hanging. I mean, it's just all over. Like, you know, lots of weak squares around his king, and then I'm just winning his queen on the next turn. So put pressure on your opponents, you know, don't let them off the hook easy, and believe in your position, you know. Okay, that's it. This is my first video, and hopefully I'll continue making these. Hopefully you guys will like these. Give me some feedback. Please tell me what you guys would like to see more or less of. And that's it. Okay, thanks for watching, and hopefully next time what I'll do is try to find games of my students or other players and try to analyze them from a perspective of somebody who's not such a strong player myself. I'm an expert, so I will analyze games hopefully in a way that it's more easily understandable, unlike when grandmasters go over games and it's not at all obvious what's going on. So hopefully I'll try to make it more interesting for everybody. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Please comment, leave some kind of feedback, like it up if you liked it, and that's it. Take care, peace.